coming to our solar action team. We are, if you're not muted, you can mute yourself so that we don't get any background during the presentation. But I'm Kimberly Armstrong. I am the Maryland Program Director for Solar United Nations. And I have I like to call her my wing lady. So she's going to be like manning stuff in the chat and doing all that kind of stuff as I give my presentation. So one of the things, and that's Alexis Miller. And so one of the things that I wanted to do tonight was first give you all like a legislative update on some of the things that we have been working on or that I have been working on. Now that the legislative session has ended, yay, yay. If many of you are not really into policy and legislative work, it can be daunting because the legislative session is only 90 days here in Maryland. And in some other states is even less than that. Some are 30 and some are 60. And some also divide them up into different days. So they may have 30 days and they have a recess and then they come back again for another 30 or 60 days. So I just wanted to, share some things with you all, some of the things that we did. So we had a lot of energy and climate change bills, which is actually great. We also had a lot of bills around electrification and EV charging and things of that nature. So Maryland is on the move, and I believe that we are on the right track. So there's a lot of stuff that has just been going on, but they're good things, and there's some things that we still have to fight for, possibly that would come up, or next year, but is looking promising. So I wanted to also just share my screen, and I'm going to try to do this. Me and Alexis just did it, so I want to make sure it works. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. So this is just a picture of us. So we did a lobby day back in February, and I had about maybe 6 or 7 people that actually showed up, and we went around to different legislatures just to talk to them about supporting community solar and community solar, making it a permanent program. And for just some, the backstory is that community solar has been a pilot program in Maryland for the last 6 years, and it's due to sunset next year. So there was a big push to make it a permanent program because it actually started out as a 3-year pilot program, but we didn't have enough information, we didn't have enough data. And so they went back to the legislatures and said, well, can we get it extended so we can get some more data and maybe get some more regulations around it and promote it a little bit more. So they extended it to 7 years. And so now that we're coming up almost on the 7th year, we didn't want it to just go away because a lot of people have worked really, really hard to make community solar a program, period. Now, community solar, for some of you that may or may not know what it is, community solar will allow people to get solar even though they don't have solar actually on their roof. So it could be somewhere, and I'm gonna just give you a concept. You know how you see those big solar fields? That could be a community solar project. And with community solar, you have to be in the territory that the actual solar is arrayed in. So for instance, if you're in BGE territory, then the solar array must be in a BGE territory. If you're in PEPCO or, what is it? Potomac Edison, or wherever the utility territory is, that's also where you the solar array has to be in order for you to participate. Now, I am a big proponent of community solar because you have a lot of people who want to participate in renewable or clean energy, but really don't have either the resources to do so and have it on the roof, or they could be renters, they could be living in a condo, you could be, anyway, you could be in a rural area that maybe you want to, have, support renewable energy or clean energy through solar. So those are some of the things that we work really, really hard around. And one of the good things about this bill, so just to let you all know that all of our hard work paid off. So the bill passed. Yay! So it passed at the last minute. When I tell you the last minute, I mean, it was like the last day. So everybody's heart was beating, and then it was like late in the afternoon. So nobody, we wanted to know what was going on. So it went back and forth from the House to the Senate, from the Senate back to the House. And then we had some amendments. So some of the amendments included low and moderate income participation, more of that in the actual projects. Then we also had what we call consolidated billing. Consolidated billing is that you would get one bill instead of getting two bills. So just for an example is that if you have community solar, you'll get a credit on your utility bill, but then you also will get a bill from the what we call a host subscriber, right? And so just to make it easier and simpler for more people to participate is to just have it on one bill. Because a lot of times, you know, especially in certain communities, if you're getting two bills for the same thing, you're more likely to pay one and not pay the other.
So for those of us who already have community solar bill, when is this going to merge onto our power bill?
So that's some of the stuff that we're working on through the PSC and the utilities. So I'll just give you some backstory, like through the hearings and things of that nature. So of course the utilities, they like, well, it's going to cost us $8 million or $10 million to do this. However, we have some good legislatures that actually know what they're talking about. And so one of the things they mentioned was like, well, you're already doing it for third-party suppliers. So how hard? So why is it going to cost you $10 million to do all of this redevelopment or software programming and in order to do it for community solar? So those are some of the things that are going to be worked out through the, you know, with the PSC and the utility companies. So it hasn't happened yet. The law just passed, I believe it was Friday, last Friday, Thursday or Friday, one of those days. So some of those things you may not see probably until, you know, for the next 6 months, maybe even, you know, to a year, because you got to go through all the bureaucracy, right? And then also because we have a new governor who is very pro all of this, is that a lot of people in the administration have changed. So you have some people that may be leaving the PSC and, you know, the utilities and things of that nature. So it's going to be some things worked out. And I don't know, I'll just put this out here. If there is an opportunity for the public to either make comments or be in a working group, I would like for you all to let me know. That way, if I get word that they're looking for actually, you know, people who participate in community solar or people who want to be more involved in helping to, I guess you could say, develop some of the programming and how it's going to work and what it may look like, let me know. Because if I get, you know, an email or a call about, hey, because I get emails and calls about, do you know subscribers? Do you have someone that can speak up for, you know, someone in the community, this, that, and the other? You know, let me know, and I will, you know, we can talk about it, talk things through, see if there's something that you really want to do, and I can submit your name to where it needs to go. So I will stop right there for a minute and see any questions. No questions? Y'all can't be that quiet on a Tuesday evening. Okay. So if there are no questions, let me see what else happened. So we did a lot of work. So when we actually did our lobby day, like I said, it was about maybe 6 or 7 of us. And we had our literature and we talked to legislatures. And one of the things that I found I found it interesting, but not really surprised, is that a lot of legislatures didn't even know about community solar. They was like, what is this? It's been a state program for 6 years. And a lot of them didn't even know what it was. They didn't know how it worked. So I had the literature, I explained it to them. One of the chief of staff for one of the senators actually she just kept saying, well, how much does it cost? She kept asking me like what do I have to pay? And I said, you don't have to pay anything. I said, it's a free program through the state, and you can just sign up as a member in one of the subscriber hosts. So I showed up, we went on the internet. She had a little laptop with her, and I showed her some of the, the projects. A lot of them now have a wait list because they're full. So now that it is a permanent program, I would like to see the development really prosper. So that means that you can have a community solar on parking lots. You can have them on commercial buildings, schools. One of the other advantages too, because of the Inflation Reduction Act, is that now nonprofits can take the tax incentives. So hopefully on more churches, and it just makes it more equitable for everybody to have, or at least buy into solar if they choose to. So I'll just tell you that
Kimberly, I do have a question, and that's probably because I haven't been involved for too long with this, but who can actually have these solar farms? Does it have to be a local government or organization, or can it be like a group of neighbors?
Just community. That's a good question. So it's usually developers, but you also have communities, right, that can develop their own community solar project. It's a little bit more work, but you have to make sure you have the finance. You have to make sure you have a good site that is actually is valuable for everyone. So you do in some states. I think we do have some here that are owned by like community residents. I don't think it's many. And they're not big projects either, right? So they're not like the real huge ones that you see like on farms.
I would be interested to learn the steps to do that. I wouldn't know where to begin though. So who would do that? Like who would direct me? Who would help out?
That's a good question too. So if you email me just to remind me, because we do have we do have some people on our team that I may be able to pick their brain and see if maybe they could.
I could do you one better if that is okay. I can send you an email and I can bring coffee and get a couple of people ready, and I'll bring a notebook. Okay, coffee and a muffin. Whatever.
So we do have a what is it called, Alexis, brunch and learn, thing.
Okay, well that sounds like a good one. Too bad I have to work, so I might not be able to do the brunch thing unless it's on Saturday. But so I like it. I like the idea. Okay.
Yeah, shoot me an email to remind me, and that way I can see someone on our team, maybe at least get you some preliminary information. And
absolutely.
Then we can build upon that, because there are some communities that if they had the buying power and I would love to see communities take ownership of doing things like that.
I would love that too. So let's make it happen. All right, I'll let you go to whatever you were saying earlier. Sorry, I kind of jumped in and interrupted. I appreciate it.
And then you got me feeling like Dwight. I can't remember what I was talking about.
I'm so sorry.
Hey, Kim, I have a question. You said something a moment ago about nonprofits taking advantage of the Inflation Reduction Act. How exactly would that work?
So in the past, you had the federal tax credit that was 30%, where nonprofits couldn't take credit for it, but now they can. So it will work the same way. And a lot of times when you, most of the time, developers or installers already know how to go about getting you those benefits.
But how does an organization that pays no tax take a tax credit?
Well, I think there's something called what they call a payback, and some type of payback incentive. And so I haven't dug all the way into all these stuff, because some of these things, because they just came out, they're still working on how it will work. So also too, if you go on our website, we have the IRA, the Infrastructure Act already uploaded. It's like a toolkit, and you can just go through that and print it out, and may tell you a little bit more. But I won't tell you that I'm the expert on that. I'm not.
Thank
Well, I was
you.
gonna say, we're gonna have a webinar. We're working on it since the IRS is still putting out all the details for nonprofits. We don't have the date set for the webinar, but we are gonna have a national webinar that will be how to help your local nonprofit go solar, probably in like about 2 to 3 months. So we'll keep you posted on that and you'll get invited to it.
Yeah, and in the meantime, you can just, look through it and read through it and see what it says, and maybe, start to, I don't know, what kind of nonprofit do you have? Is it a church or just what?
Well, I retired in 2020 and joined the solar industry. And I have noted that most solar companies don't like to deal with nonprofits like churches because the financing is problematic. And there are no tax advantages. So that is a pretty powerful disincentive for a church to go solar, because it basically doubles, sometimes triples the payback period.
Yeah, so so where do you live?
Western Howard County.
Okay, so you may want to connect with or have a conversation with in Montgomery County, the Green Bank. Montgomery County Green Bank, because I believe they just did a project for a church. And I know that you don't live in Montgomery County, but maybe they can give you some information on what they're financing and how they're financing, what it looked like.
Well, most of the third-party companies that are doing solar finance would really rather not work with churches because their incomes, the revenue stream tends to be erratic.
Yeah.
So it becomes hard to underwrite that lending. But most solar companies will work with churches if they pay cash. So that usually involves the congregation engaging in a big capital rise prior to, getting bids.
Yeah, and two is also interesting because since the Inflation Reduction Act has, become law, is that they still haven't worked out a lot of, that even though we know that the incentives and things exist, it's just that how is it going to be regulated? How can people tap into these resources, because it's a lot of money. And I also, think too, is that the more that people understand how community solar actually works and how it benefits from everyone. So I'll just give you an example. If you had a church that could go solar and they had a congregation of, let's say, 1,000 people, just imagine if they put community solar on their building and then let the congregation take advantage of being the subscribers of their own community solar project. So, which is what I believe is that one of the things that Montgomery County actually did. So it might be worthwhile just to chit chat with them, just to see, just to do some brainstorming. So one of the other things too that I had on the agenda, and we also going to have like a hard stop at 7 because Alexis has a training to do right after this, and so I don't want to hold her up. Is now that community solar has become a permanent program, you have a one of the things that I've been working on since I've been here for the last 3 years is that in some places in rural counties or on farmland, you have some organizations that don't want to see community solar, period. So they don't want to allow community solar on any kind of agriculture or any kind of thing. So this is one of the things that I've been working on and fighting in Carroll County, and also trying to get them to understand is that community solar won't take up all of your farmland. And so we try to be very, I guess you could say, protective of that as well, but also educating people about community solar, how it works, and also what it can look like. And I believe if you go on our YouTube channel, we actually did a webinar maybe about a year or two ago around what we call agrovoltaics, right? How you can use solar on a farm, but also still do things. So it was one of the presenters, she has a farm in New York where she does ag, and she does everything from raising sheep to doing beekeeping, you know, all kinds of different things. So I wanted to see tonight if there was or is anyone on the call that's from Carroll County or has relationships with people in Carroll County.
I do. Yeah, I actually spoke at the public hearing that they had, because I'm a farmer, but I grow trees on my farm. So I've supplied material to, I don't know, 7 different solar farm projects probably. But, you know, the big thing up here with Carroll County people is they cut off their nose to spite their face. They don't comprehend that they're all about freedom and stuff like that, but they don't comprehend that, like, being off the grid completely should be the ultimate form of freedom for every person. Like, you know, like how empowering and free is it to wake up and say, I never need to go to a gas station again. My car filled itself while I was sleeping. Like, they don't get there with their brain. Their brain is saying, I don't want to see AOC's Green New Deal in my backyard. And that's what it is. And, you know, almost every talking point that they used at that public hearing that I spoke at can be linked right back to this organization. Let's see, Citizens for Responsible Solar.
Yep.
And, you know, right now I'm submitting it tonight, but I'm going to call them, submit an editorial to the local paper telling Carroll County that, you know, you're just turning yourself into pawns. This was an organization of political operatives crafting phrases and talking points. This isn't a group of neighbors that are out there that, you know, they see it, they get it in their head, and they just repeat it. They're just political pawns. And all these talking points are crafted by political operatives. So instead of them seeing the economic opportunity that an energy revolution would do for the country, they're, you know, like I said, cutting off their nose to spite their face because they just can't get there in their thinking.
Yeah, Jeremy, their talking points are also nonsense. I mean,
right,
I've read some of their positions, and
Complete.
they say that, you know, ground mount PV leaches heavy metals into the groundwater.
Right.
It's all nonsense, and it's demonstrably nonsense.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
And you know that organization, that
it's-
organization, they work across the country. So we also had to have battles with them in Virginia as well. So so that's why. So my background is in community organizing, and I used to shut down jails and stuff. And I was like real radical back in the day. I calmed down an awful lot, right? So I'm really proud of myself. So now, but so the goal is to not just call them out, but also try, like you were talking about, Jeremy, the economics, right? People don't think about some of the economic benefits because if you look at the farming industry, right, it will create and can create another revenue stream for them.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I talked about, what I tried to do at the public comment part is I tried to use all the talking points that H-2A and H-2B visas use and use that aspect, because like I said, you know, if Carroll County has probably the lowest landscape regulations in the state. I mean, you know, I have 325 acre tree farm, and I sell like 5 trees a year in Carroll County because the specs on a commercial project are the size I plant in the field. They're that pathetic. So the neighbors are also thinking they're going to plant this huge solar farm and then plant evergreens that are a foot tall, and we'll screen it off in 2 years. Where, you know, the specs on a job I did in Howard County where I supplied the trees, the minimum tree was 10 foot tall. So that's something I talked about. And then I said, you're going to have property maintenance companies maintaining these. That's other local small businesses.
Right.
The plants are going to be installed by a local landscaper, and they're going to be grown at local nurseries within Carroll County. And then a lot of that money will get spent at your equipment dealers. And I thought I thought when I said the equipment dealers, and I called them all out by name, and I said that they wouldn't want to hear that you're killing opportunity for their customer base. I thought that part got through to them a little bit, but that's the main thing is Carroll County. And like, if you go to a new housing development in a different county, right when it's completed, the trees are all 10, 12 feet tall, and streets are lined with trees. There's screening out eyesores and bioponds and stuff like that. In Carroll County, there won't be any street trees. Screening out of bioponds, the trees might come up to my knee. Like there's just zero specs. So like, I think that's one way the companies could increase their own specs. And then the chain link fence is an issue. And again, we're in rural America. So putting a ton of plants in what used to be an old cornfield or something, they're just going to get devoured by deer. So part of that could be fence the plants and the solar farm in with like, post and rail deer fencing that you hardly don't even see, that protects the plants, will allow them to screen it off, and then more likely appease these neighbors. And again, another thing I was going to say in the editorial I'm writing is, during COVID, a lot of the businesses in Carroll County said because of personal property rights, they shouldn't have to follow CDC guidelines. But now in this situation, they want to give their neighbor more personal property rights than the landowner. They have a mental disconnect in a lot of ways of their thinking. And, they just can't, like, again, you were saying about beekeepers and agrivoltaic farming, and like, that is probably the future of solar, but these people around here, they farm corn and soybean because of why? One man can run one piece of equipment and farm 1,000 acres. And when they harvest it, it takes 2 men and 2 machines, so the agrivoltaic farming would be more of a labor intensive farming, that hopefully younger farmers see value to, but these older farmers, that run the farm, commission in Carroll County, they're probably all 75 plus, and getting them to change their ways is difficult.
Yeah, so one of the things that happened with Carroll County, because they have all new commissioners now too.
Right.
So the old commissioners, some of them were, on board, and then now it's like we're starting from scratch, really, because now they have the moratorium, right? So
yeah.
So Jeremy, if you don't mind, can we have like an offline kind of conversation? Because I'm strategizing some things with some other people. I don't know where it's gonna go, but it's worth a try, right?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Of how to be strategic, right? But maybe get to more yeses than we have now. So that's the goal, right? So if we have your email, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the sad things is the one commissioner that's an incumbent, he voted for the solar the first time around with the last board, and this time, he voted for the moratorium. So
now which one is that? Which one is
Rothstein.
Okay.
Ed Rothstein. So he's a little bit of a weather vane of leader, and he's the president of the board. But I don't know, when I listen to their weekly podcast, it seems like they all wanted to just, I think they will come around and pass it, but they want to put their personal touch on it.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of like the feeling I've gotten too. It's just going to take it's going to take some work, and maybe even possibly some shaming, right? Just to put it out there. Is that sometimes you have to shame people. So I got a strategy. So I want to talk to you offline a little bit more about how we can do that, because it's not just me. So I'm working with some other partners too, in developing a campaign around this.
Okay.
So that was one of the reasons too for I wanted to share this with everybody that's on the call tonight. And is there anybody else in Carroll County or from Carroll County? Or no Carroll County? And see, that's another thing too, is because I don't really know. I used to work in Kemar, like years ago, right? So I don't know a whole lot of people in Carroll County, but I'm doing my homework and trying to find more organizations that maybe have a climate agenda, or maybe interested in environmental issues and things of that nature. So I've been trying to do my homework and finding some of these key either people or organizations to kind of organize and get a campaign going around this.
Okay.
So I appreciate the work that you are doing, Jeremy, and you have a good sense about what's going on. Anybody else have any comments or questions or anything? Y'all so quiet. So I must be doing a really good job, because y'all don't have no questions or anything.
Maybe just set an agenda how we can help.
Well, that's one of the things that I'm working on now. So community solar, getting at a permanent program that we actually started working on. We started working on that last year, right?
Yeah.
And so that's like a big thing. And now the session is over. I moved right into the Carroll County stuff, because Carroll
that's
County,
where you need action. Only Carroll County at this point. Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of what happened, Carroll County kind of got silent for a minute. So it was, everybody, commissioners went away. Then they popped back up, recently, right? So I switched so now I'm like in Carroll County mode. So so far as the action is, getting back with Jeremy on doing some strategy stuff. And if you all know or come across anyone that has some connections in Carroll County, that would be very helpful. Like I said, I have like a strategy that I'm thinking about of how to develop a campaign around this, which Alexis and one of my other and Liz, who is our policy director, who helps me on a lot of these things as well, sending out action alerts to people to get them to sign on to doing something in Carroll County. And because they had this moratorium on, so the moratorium is for 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for 6 months. And I think they had a meeting today, right, Jeremy?
I didn't listen to today's meeting. They haven't mentioned it much in any of the meetings they've had since they had the public hearing. And what I'm worried most about is this board that they're putting together. Like if you look at what Carroll County did during their Board of Education where they set up a parent committee, it was like a stack the deck of who's radical. So like I'm worried that this whole board of concerned citizens that they'll put together will be cherry picked to be, people that were holding those signs in that picture you shared, and that's about it.
Right.
Because I never got contacted, but about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
So if I may, Alexis, I can't see you. Are you still there?
I'm back. Yes. What do you need?
Okay. So I was going to say, I want to help, don't know where to begin. So maybe, and Kimberly and Jeremy, it seems like you are pretty involved. Maybe an action plan with tasks like you can help do this, or at least we're looking for this kind of help. Could be make a call, I don't know, like whatever could be helpful. If you can put it in concrete terms, do this, contact this, or find this, or go there, like that would be more helpful than, this is good talking and all that. But since I don't have the background information that you do have, I have a big desire to help, don't know what to do. So maybe if you can make it simpler, like concrete task oriented, sign up for this task and do that, right? Could that be something that you would consider? That's for Alexis, Jeremy, and Kimberly. Because Jeremy, I know you might not be in the organizing team here, but it seems like you have been pretty involved.
I mean, the only thing I've done is speak at the Carroll County public hearing and pay attention to.
I understand. I
things that are
understand, but you
going
seem
on,
you
like,
seem a lot
you know,
more informed than I am.
Yeah, I mean,
You've been following the process a lot closer than I have.
like the two biggest things that I think community solar could help would be Carroll County is on a mission to get, was it 100,000 acres in ag preservation?
Mhm.
And they're not, they're close, but they're not there yet. Or it might be a lot more than that. It might be 1 million acres. I'm not sure. But
Mhm.
so like a farm that is under 100 acres, that's not attached to another farm that's in preservation, does not qualify. So we've had this movement among farmers in Carroll County where they'll buy a farm, put it in preservation, and take that money and then go buy another farm. And they keep sucking up preservation money. So these under 100-acre farmers, were several of these projects that are being put on hold were under 100 acres. And you're doing something, you're setting up a situation where Carroll County could have five families controlling all the farmland in the county within a few years by not allowing that under 100-acre person to get preservation or to get community solar. And that's my big concern about it, is I wouldn't want to see monopoly farming.
Right, right. So
I think that's going, yeah, sorry, Kimberly.
Yes,
I'm
so
sorry.
one of the things, how do you pronounce your name?
Brikenna.
Brikenna. Okay,
Correct.
so one of the things that we do, Brikenna, is we do send out action alerts, right?
Okay.
So when we send out our action alerts, we do have like bullet points like to call your commissioner, call your legislature, call somebody, write a letter, do something,
Okay.
or sign this petition, so we do call to actions all the time. But what I was looking for is like a targeted, like people like Jeremy who actually live in Carroll County, right?
I hear you.
Because the residents that live there, right, have a little bit more power than people that don't live there, right?
Of course.
Like,
I understand.
who are you? You live in Montgomery County. Who are you?
I do.
But I'm just saying.
I live next to the city government.
Right. But I'm just saying, so and that's kind of like of an organizing strategy, is to get as many people that we can find that are located in Carroll County, right? And get them to call to actions, to petition. And my goal, what I'm looking to do, is get a lot of young people, right? Because a lot of young people who really are passionate about climate change, what's going on in the economy and the environment, they can talk to their parents, right? And they also can talk to some of, if they want to get involved a little bit more in policy, they can start to put pressure on them as well.
How young? The students.
Can they talk? If they can talk and they know about climate change, then they're welcome. No, but I'm just,
I hear you, but it might be a good idea, like to start some kind of school club.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I'm working on. So I've contacted.
Oh, okay, you are. So that's good.
I've contacted some churches that are environmentally conscious, right, around climate issues. I've also I'm in the process of looking at Westminster Community College, some of the colleges there, and see what kind of organizations or groups they have. Some of the schools that may have like a climate focus, or after school club or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could be a club. There are environmental clubs, but it could be specifically solar oriented.
Yep. So that's what I've been working on.
Ooh, that's good. I like it.
Yeah.
It sounds good.
Because sometimes sometimes it's not so much it's more so the messenger, and not so much the message. right?
Mm,
So I used to run a after school program with some kids in an elementary school, right? And I'm teaching about energy and things of that nature. And so a lot of the materials that I used to give to the kids, they could share it with their parents, like about recycling and stuff like that. So sometimes you can get to the parents through the children. So I got a little strategy I'm working on. So I'm looking at anywhere from like middle school on up through college, right?
I hear you.
So that's
That
kind
makes
of like my strategy, but then also too, getting back to what Jeremy was talking about, so businesses can be a little iffy, you know what I mean? So
Mm,
I'm gonna have to think about the business part of it. And see, because I'm not from Carroll County, right?
mm.
I don't want to be the face of what's going on. I want to kind of like be behind the scenes, like being a little, like the people.
Yeah, Jeremy can be the face.
the citizens were responsible. I kind of like, but on the good side, right?
Yeah, of course.
So that's kind of like my thought process.
I hear you. It sounds very good.
Yeah. So we'll see what works or what we can do. But it's worth a try. It took
Yeah.
us what 7 years to get community solar to be a permanent program. So
You're doing a great job. Thank you.
keep moving. You just got to keep doing it.
You're doing it.
Yeah, nothing beats a failure but a try, right? So you just got to keep trying.
Of course. No, you're doing great. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say, that I need some direction, but I understand right now Carroll County rather is the focus, and I'm not from there.
Yeah, but
I don't think I've ever been to Carroll County.
if there are other things, McKenna, that you want to do, you just shoot me an email and say, hey, Kimberly, it may be some opportunities in Montgomery County that maybe you want to, volunteer.
All right. Well, yeah, I am. Consider me a juvenile in this area. I want to help, don't know where to begin. So kind of like water, direct me. So if there is something I can help with, give me a little bit more direction, and then I'll try my best. But it doesn't have to be right now. Whatever comes up, just check with me.
Yeah, so you are on our email list, right? So
I know.
Yeah,
if you do sign a petition, do this or that, I have been reading your emails and I'm doing it. So whatever I can help with, if there is something more specific that I can help with, if I can, obviously. Because
so one of the things that I like to do, I like for people to let me know what it is that you want to do, right? Because I don't want to be telling people, because people know what they want to do, and I don't want to. I used to volunteer a lot, right? But I wanted to volunteer on what I enjoyed doing. I didn't want to volunteer just because somebody was telling me I needed to do something, right? And I think it becomes more enjoyable when you are doing something because that's what you enjoy doing, because that's what you want to do. So if you come, McKenna, if you say, Kimberly, you have any events that I can help you with, or staff, come on. Alexis will tell you I have people that, help me with, staff in different events, and they learn a lot, while they're there. They get to meet a lot of different people, and they have fun. You can eat for free. We got swag, like we got shirts.
We got swag, okay. Well, now you sold it. Now that you got the swag and the free food, you sold it. But I hear you. I'll also think about specifically what I can do.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good.
So Alexis has to get ready to drop off in a few minutes, because she has a training to do. So any more questions, comments?
I got help from the Maryland team from Secret, I think his name is. I don't know if I'm pronouncing.
That's right.
And I don't know if other people have had this issue, but I installed panels in 2010 and then again last year. And last year it was thanks to one of your to participating in a Solar United Neighbors co-op. And our usage over the summer was like so out of control that I bought a meter to be able to monitor our appliances, because I didn't understand what was going on. And finally they came out and changed our meter and admitted that something was wrong with the Pepco net meter. but it's taken me, that happened in September. It was just this past week, after involving the Maryland Public Service Commission and involving my state delegate, that they finally corrected it. They sent me 5 different sets of revised bills. After the first time I complained, they actually revised it up so that I owed them $200 more. And the only way that I could hold them to be accountable was by saying, no, I have my solar output. I know how much I consumed. I know how much I produced. You're overcharging me. And so with, I've spent probably over 20 hours analyzing bills and first calling, and then I switched to emailing. And I finally said to, so I'm resolved, but I'm concerned that other people might be facing similar issues, either with solar or even without solar. And just wondered if you all have received other complaints within the Pepco region, or if other people who have gone solar have noticed that they're getting incredibly overcharged. And when the Maryland Public Service Commission person said that that it's really a legislative issue, and that's why I'm bringing it up with you with your legislation, that it's more of an issue for the legislators to be looking at, like how Pepco hid the word estimated in the bill on the second page in small print when the regulations say that they have to let you know that it's an estimated bill.
Yeah, so I will tell you that you are not the only one. So Pepco has been a hot mess, and I don't know if I should be saying this because this is being recorded, but I'm just being very honest and truthful.
You should be saying it. I pay almost $700 a month. They don't read anything. I only have electric.
Yeah,
no gas.
You are not alone. Pepco has had some horrible issues, or not just this year, but over the last couple of years. So I actually believe they have a lawsuit against them as well.
Cool.
And it's not just you. We've heard this issue from Pepco or about Pepco for a while. So you are not alone. You are not the only one, but at least you got some recourse and you knew how to go about it, because the PSC, that's what they regulate utilities, right? So I don't know who you spoke to, but them saying that it's a legislative issue. Yeah, so that's not true. The Public Service Commission's job is to regulate utilities. Now you can get your legislatures involved, right, to help do some pushback or maybe introduce some legislation around that, but
I think it was specifically when I asked about the estimated billing, because she quoted me in the final decision that it's regulated, that they have to say it's estimated billing. And I've been poring over these bills for months, and I didn't realize they were estimated. And not a single time when I called Pepco did they ever admit that they were estimated. And once she told, once I read the rule that it had to be estimated, I thought, oh, they're not doing it. And then, reading it again, it was like in really fine print in the middle of a paragraph, in the middle of the second page, that they admitted that it was estimated billing.
You did your homework, and that's fortunate. But then you have a lot of people who may not be as savvy, right?
Exactly.
And may not be able to take the time or read the fine print or even understand what the fine print means, right? So I also know that the Office of People's Counsel is another, you can also contact them, because they work with a lot of people who had issues with utilities as well. Also, you can file a complaint with the Attorney General's office as well to let them know what's going on. And this is kind of like a good time to start doing these things, because we all have new people, right? So we have new controller. We have, a lot of new people that want to take on some of these issues. So outside of your legislature, or whoever your, who is your, so did you call your delegate, a senator, or?
The one who was responsive to me was Julian Ivey. I contacted all 3 of them.
Okay.
But so to me, it's like, for me, like I've been able to solve it, but I feel like if Pepco's doing that, to me, I worry that they're doing it to other people. And specifically related to solar installs, if you're not tracking your production and consumption, then they can just give you these estimated bills, and if you don't complain, then you're just,
They just get away with it. But that's
Yeah.
why they have the lawsuit too, because you do have a lot of savvy people that live in Pepco territory that was having the same issue. So I would look into that as well. But Pepco, we've gotten a lot of complaints with dealing with Pepco. And I don't think it's just people around solar either. I think it's just utilities, period.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's really sad that you have to spend so much time to get, basic information, and people not trying to pull wool over your eyes when, utilities and electricity are things that we need. That is not something that we want. You actually need it.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's just awful and shameful. But
Hey, Kim, I know that we're gonna have to jump off soon, but based on the comments and what we're talking about now, I was just wondering if there was any headway made on actually doing like the official subscription coordination and opening
Yeah.
that up so that these problems could have a designated person to help manage.
That's a good question, Melissa. So there has not been, they are still trying to figure all of that stuff out. And I do know is that one of the things they discussed was having like a working group, because the issue too is that you have these developers that develop the projects, right? But then they have to find subscribers to be in the projects, right? And a lot of them can't find enough people to fill some of these projects up. So, Melissa, what I would say is they haven't even figured or worked that thing out, worked it out yet. So do you have any suggestions, I would ask?
It's not so much a suggestion as just a need. A project developer, by definition, probably doesn't have the skill set and bandwidth and resources to find subscribers, and subscribers are not wholly educated on the
Right.
marketplace and the problems and the billing and all of, I mean, most people pay their bills and like they either pay it or they don't, but there's not a lot of knowledge behind it. So there's a huge need for something and someone to come and bridge that gap to be an affinity for both stakeholders. And utilities don't seem to be very interested, I guess, in that piece of the puzzle, but it's very important to the efficacy and the economics of rolling this program out long term.
Yeah, so I get asked that question about, customer acquisition all the time. And I would just let you know that that's where my passion comes in. And that's why I always talk about community solar, right? Because, and I always bring it, it's like, we've had this program for almost 7 years and hardly anybody knows about it, right? So there needs to be a massive campaign and education around community solar first, what it is, but then also teaching people how they can, subscribe into these different, host, development projects. So Melissa, I can tell you that's one of the things I'm working really, really hard on. And it may be me doing a lot of it because that's like one of my passions, and you got to be out there in the community. And like you said, most developers, they don't have the resources or the bandwidth and really don't, that's not what they do, right? So that's something that we can also talk about, Melissa, offline.
Okay, but I think I think acquisition is important. Obviously, you have to start somewhere, but management and maintenance is almost even more important, because I think people, I've talked to some subscribers who are feeling a little bit of bait and switch of, okay, I've been acquired and now what? And I think that there needs to be an ongoing relationship in addition to, the marketing and the education around what it is and what are the benefits. So yeah, we'll definitely continue that offline.
Yeah, and I do know that there was an organization that was looking at doing something like that, like having like a middle person that could do like customer service and some management kind of stuff with the subscribers. And I don't know how far they got with that, because that was maybe about 2 years ago that I had that conversation with people of this particular organization.
Melissa, what is the problem that people have, generally speaking? What are you referring to?
Well, I think there's a lot of problems. One, there's an education gap of just
You
what
mean
the pro-
after they join community solar?
Yeah, partially. I mean, there are billing issues, like you're saying.
I
Now in this legislation, being able to have consolidated billing is huge
Mhm.
because most people, if you give them a BG&E or Pepco, they don't understand the bill line by line. They understand
I see.
what they owe. That's it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so when you add community solar on top of that, which, like Kim said, you're going to the legislature and the people making the
Yeah.
laws, how the people don't know what it is. I mean, we just have an education gap on what the program is, what it means, and then how it is actually enacted. You can understand something in theory, but how is it in practice? Sometimes people making the laws don't think about how a
Mhm.
person is going to receive a bill, what it means. Are they going to have to pay two different people? How, especially when you're talking about low and moderate income housing, who
Yeah.
have a higher energy burden, and less resources on every facet of how to address all of these issues. So there's bill paying issues, and there's access issues, and there's just maintenance issues of who to contact if there's an issue, or
Mhm.
how,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
does seem like there should be
lost
some
in the
kind
system.
of, some kind of staff.
And
I hear you.
So yeah, I talked to developers, and that's one of the things that they have not gotten really a good grip on. Which is concerning, because like you said, Melissa, is that someone can be a subscriber, but then when they start to have issues, they really don't know who to call, because some of the times the organizations that they sign up with either don't answer the phone, or they give them false information, things of that nature.
I subscribe through Neighborhood Sun, and they've been really responsive with questions and concerns. So I don't know what their region is, but they're right now offering $50 referrals. So that's what they're trying right now to reach out to other people.
Yeah,
They've
neighborhood
also done
Sun-
presentations in the neighborhood. Actually, they've come to some of our local nonprofits and done presentations.
Yeah, Neighborhood Sun is one of the few ones, and I think it's that works a lot more. Is a lot more ethical than some of the other places, I will say. So this is not showing favoritism anyone or anything. I would just say most people that I know have had a really pleasant, at least a decent experience with them, I would say, versus some of the other organizations. So, and some of these things are like big nuts to crack, right? Like how do you really figure this stuff out, right? And like Melissa said too, is that a lot of these things are afterthoughts. You want to get things passed and you want to do things, but have you thought really out thoroughly how people can not just get access to it, but how do they understand it? And then also on the back end, how is it being managed?
Mhm.
So we got work to do. So even though we got all
Yeah.
this stuff done, we got a lot of stuff done. Now it's the other back end stuff that we got to keep working towards, right? So that we really can make renewable energy and solar, being one of them, more equitable and fair for everyone, but also people being taken care of in the back end. Because I get frustrated when I have to call places and they just keep telling me to press buttons.
Yeah. Oh my God. I hate
Sometimes
that.
I need to talk to somebody,
Yeah.
I need for you to answer the phone, send me an email, do something. But sometimes I just need to talk to somebody. So
Yeah.
So Melissa, that's a big nut to crack, but we're gonna try to crack it. We may not crack it all the way, but we may crack just a piece of the nut. So that goes back. I'm gonna say this, and this is kind of has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. But anybody like Almond Joys?
Oh, that's the candy?
Yeah.
I think I used to, but now I'm vegan. It's been like 10 years. I'm afraid to eat candy.
You don't remember the jingle though? Joy's got nuts. Mouse don't.
Yeah, that fits right in with the community. So, yeah, that's a good candy.
I just wanted to leave tonight on something funny. So when you talk
That
about
was
cracking
good.
nuts, I was just thinking about that.
That was really good.
But don't mind
Really
me after 7 o'clock, right? So, and I've been up and out since 8 o'clock this morning. So I'm kind of like, in my little crazy zone right about now. But
I hear you.
I'm going to stop sharing now. And if there are no more burning questions, I want to thank you all for joining me once again tonight. And always feel free to email me, and you can always call me. My cell phone number is 443-416-0308. I'll put it in the chat if you want to.
Yeah, sure. Put it in the chat. I didn't get it. I put mine in the chat. Not that it matters.
There we go.
Okay. All right,
And if
perfect.
you
Well,
call
thank
me
you.
and I don't answer because I don't have your phone number in my phone, then just text me and say, hey, this is whoever this is, right? Because
Yeah. However, if you wanted to, my phone is right there, right above yours. If you
Okay.
wanted to, you could put it in your phone and then you can answer.
There you go.
But you don't have to.
8315. Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm. All right, this sounds good. Thank you all. Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you. Good evening.
Action and have a good action night.
I know, right?
Thanks,
You
All right.
too. All right, till
Bye-bye.
next time.
All right. bye-bye.
Bye.